And then I made the mistake, according to the officer I allegedly assaulted and obstructed, former officer. I said, "Hello, how are you doing?" or something to that effect. Hello, today is June 4th, 2018, and the time is 3:40 p.m. I had an interesting day today. I had a run-in with the local police. I didn't sleep well last night, so I usually go to a coffee shop parking lot, or at night I do, and I'm so worried about looking suspicious. I always try to find a light to park under in a parking lot, or in the middle of a parking lot where I'm completely visible. Not that I ever tried to park in shady places before, but I'm just more concerned about it. So I didn't sleep well last night, and I have a stressful week this week with things going on. And I've been living like this for years now. And it's a struggle when I do finally fall asleep to wake up and get moving. And I did so today. And I came to a parking lot between two parks, where I am right now, just to calm myself. And sometimes I just sit and think and maybe play checkers or something on my phone, or talk to friends. And I just happened to be talking with a friend on the phone when, in front of me, I noticed a police car, and the officer who was driving looked over and seen me. I didn't think nothing of it until he went to pull into the parking lot, and I'm the only person in the parking lot. There was two other vehicles way on either end, and nobody in them. And then I remember telling my friend he's coming into the parking lot, and I was terrified. So he drove behind me and over that way, and I'm thinking, okay, it has nothing to do with me. And then he turned and pulled up beside me, window to window. And at that moment, as he was turning towards me, I said to my friend, "Hang on." And I was thinking the worst was going to happen. And then I made the mistake, according to the officer I allegedly assaulted and obstructed, former officer. I said, "Hello, how are you doing?" or something to that effect. Then I thought, oh no. The cop looked at me, smiled, and said hi back, and replied briefly, and said, "Do you realize your sticker is expired on my plate, on my vehicle?" And I'm still in panic mode, and he's smiling. And he said something I said, well, I forget how I replied. I was in panic mode thinking, oh, here it comes. And he said, well, that's like a $300 ticket, and apparently they can impound your vehicle, so there would have been those costs and all these other costs and everything else. And he didn't do anything, just smiling, saying it as it is. And I said, no, I'll take care of that right away. And I could tell he was looking at me, realizing that I guess my face was just saying, I'm terrified. And he let me off with a warning. Just drove away. Dialogue lasted, I don't know, definitely less than a minute, maybe 30 seconds. And I thanked him for the warning as he drove away. He didn't come at me. He wasn't an ass. He didn't come at me aggressively. Nothing like that. And in fact, his act of kindness, although I'm sure he would have realized the inconvenience of writing tickets and impound and everything else, I don't think he realized the great favor he did me by helping me out mentally. And I want to say to him, thank you. But there's no aggression by him, no yelling, hands up, threatening me, telling me to get out, lying. Just cool and calm. Didn't get beat up. There was no guns drawn, no charges. Thank you. I don't have an issue with all police, despite what I went through May 4th, 2013. My issue lies with two so-called human beings in a uniform. Who left me crippled and almost killed me for nothing. You know, back home, in my personal life, I have friends who are police, former police, retired. I have friends who are in the legal world. Know several judges and you know, it's funny, when he came up, as terrified as I was, he didn't interpret my wondering what's going on, my being perplexed, or now that I have post-traumatic stress and fear from what those two did to me, he didn't interpret that as aggression and I'm being an ass. Yeah. And by the way, I had what little money I had, I went and got a new sticker right away. And somebody had drew my attention to a news article in the newspaper over the weekend, and I went and looked it up online about the local police here, and I did a video screenshot on it. I don't know why. I just thought, you know, it's just, maybe I can use this in a video, and it wasn't meant at all. My intentions have never been to slam anybody or any organization. And this article just basically talks about how the local police officers are having a hard time dealing with the bad officers. And that was basically the gist of the article. So, and for everyone out there, it's like any profession. I don't give a shit if it's police, legal profession, medical profession, transport truck drivers. It doesn't matter. You're gonna have good ones, and you're gonna have the assholes. And you'll find that even if you go to a house party, there's always gonna be some asshole. You see that a lot in the off-roading community. Well, not in with the members who are dedicated to off-roading, but you see people going where off-roaders go, totally trashing and destroying the environment, and the off-roaders get blamed for it. But needless to say, they're the ones going out there, and you always get an asshole out there. You know, at the end of the day, whether you're a good person or not, we're all trying to survive. Just get through our lives, you know, and achieve our goals and accomplish our dreams, whatever they may be. And I'm excluding, obviously, the sociopaths and the psychopaths out there whose desire is only to harm. So, you know, I look at a case like Daniel Holtzclaw, who is now a former police officer who got 267 years for alleged sexual crimes. And if you watch the documentary on him, Daniel in the Den, I believe it's called, he got railroaded. And I've supported him from the first time I heard of him. And it was through the efforts of others who made his story known. And without people like that, a lot of cases would go unheard of. We all have to keep in mind we're all stuck here on this planet together. There's enough problems life will impose, let alone having these divisions, us against them, on whichever side you're saying that from. So keep that in mind. And I refuse to let those two jackasses, May 4, 2013, or even that female from December 2012, change who I really am. Now, with all that said, it's interesting with my next stage of my court process. The lawyer that I currently have had filed his materials, and the Crown Prosecutor has the opportunity to file their materials. So I went through their materials, and one thing that they were claiming, this is the materials that at this stage a judge will be reviewing, where they're trying to say, well, after the second voir dire, when my evidence was heard about the backstory and everything else, I thought after that the trial was fair and there's no evidence to think otherwise. And I'm just shaking my head, because the last few lines of my closing summations of the trial proper, I highlight my concern with regards to a fair trial, and completely ignored. They also go on to say how the trial judge dismissed all my evidence about if the officers were in the performance of the duties and etc. Well, yeah, that's true. What everyone's failing to also mention is the trial judge dismissed the Crown prosecutor's evidence, which are the two officers' testimonies, as well. And throughout my closing summations, I was very clear throughout the whole time I spoke that I'm not using any of my evidence or testimony or my version of events. I'm strictly only using the officers' testimonies, which I did throughout the whole closing arguments, and the judge dismissed that as well. See, they're only telling half the story. And as for evidence of my not having a fair trial, one that stands out in my head is when, during the ruling of the second voir dire, the trial judge said he had to do with the internal affairs investigation, and he wasn't going to wait to see if there was anything that came out of that that could help with my defense or not. And he didn't blame the police for looking after their own best interests, etc. That in itself, right from the transcript of his ruling on the second voir dire, stands out to me. Did I get a fair trial? Stands out to me. Did I get a fair trial? Anyway, I'm thankful to that officer today, and he would have been from the same district as those two are from. I want to say thank you again. You saved me a lot. I hope everyone watching is doing well, and